morning. We're going to get started. So first, thank you so much for coming to the SOAR Informational Workshop. Just a quick agenda for the day. Some of the things that we're going to be talking about, doing business at the airport. And that is an umbrella topic. And again, as you see, we have our 5 panelists. So it's a lot of information. That's just kicking off the day. We're going to review again the minimum qualifications and requirements, additional considerations, operational expectations, the overview of the premises, the spaces that you are bidding for, your proposals are going to be submitted for, the evaluation criteria and selection, the RFP schedule, overview of procurement, and of course, questions and answers. So we talked about SOAR. And just before we get going, one more time, I want to remind everybody, this is actually a pet, I can't even call it a pet project. This is a project that was sparked from our First Lady, Renata Evans. We have a wonderful board, and the Wayne County Airport Authority Board supports small businesses and our local small businesses. They've been very supportive with this program and all of the businesses, as well as our CEO, Chad Newton. So ensuring that our small businesses have opportunity and we have access. So that is first and foremost. So real quick, and I know you're tired of me talking, so we're gonna just give you one last thing, and I'm gonna introduce our first speaker. These are a couple of things we're going to drill down on, but I want you to keep these on the top of your mind because operating in an airport environment is different. It is different than retail. It is different than a pop-up or online. For example, being open 7 days a week, and that is 365, 7 days a week. Passengers are in the terminal 4 a.m., midnight, sometimes a little later depending on. Making sure you have flight banks during peak hours, having enough inventory, understanding that all of your employees and yourself, you must be badged. They're going to talk about that as well. Considering morning shifts and evening shifts, managing that, having enough staff, especially if you think about holiday time. You have peak times, you have travel times, being able to have relief staff, remote working as far as remote parking, airline parking, designated lots, handling that, and then receiving your goods and services. So these are all things we are about to drill down on. So the first topic is doing business at the airport. So we are going to start with our first speaker of the day who's going to come up, and that is Dylan Demenzik, and he's from the Fire Marshal. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you, Victoria. Good morning and welcome. My name is Dylan Demenzik. I am the Airport Authority's Fire Marshal. Over the past 16 years that I've been with the department, many times I encounter folks that are surprised to learn that the airport has its very own fire department. And over the next few slides, I'm going to cover how the fire department operates at the airport, and more importantly, how we interact with concessionaires. The Wayne County Airport Authority Fire Department serves Detroit Wayne County Airport, also known as DTW, and Willow Run Airport for all aircraft, fire, and EMS emergencies. We do that by employing a 66 personnel staff that operate out of 4 fire stations. 3 of these fire stations are located at DTW and 1 additional fire station out at Willow Run Airport. Outside of operating emergency runs and emergency calls, we also have a few other divisions that interact with the airport community, such as the training division and then my division, which is fire prevention. Fire prevention, we require that all concession spaces have at least 1 annual inspection for code compliance and general safety. Things that we're looking for during those inspections are clear egress paths, combustible storage within limits, emergency lighting. Those are just a few examples. Outside of the required annual inspection that each concession space must have, we are in the terminals a lot, and we do what we call walkthroughs. What those walkthroughs are, puts a friendly face to the fire department. It helps build relationships between us, you, and your employees. And then if we come across any issues, we try to get ahead of it so that way it doesn't become a bigger issue. While any concession space is operating, they're also required to keep all fire safety equipment in good operating condition. What I mean is fire extinguishers, maintaining any applicable fire alarm equipment that might be in your space. The fire department can also provide trainings free of charge to anyone that operates or all of our airport community. Some of that training can be basic CPR, first aid. We'll also offer live fire extinguisher training. And again, it's free of charge. And at any time that you'd like to schedule it, please contact either the fire station's main phone number or you can contact my office directly. And again, lastly, if at any time while you're at the airport, if you experience or witness an emergency, please dial 911 and we will respond. This wraps up my presentation. I ask if you have any questions, you please use the provided QR codes. And next, I'd like to introduce Lori Madison, the Deputy Director of Security. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to see you all here. The airport is a bustling place of activity, but it is also a place where safety and security is tantamount to the operation. So while fire inspections and security inspections are not all that glamorous, they're very integral to what we do every day. So I wanted to talk with you today a little bit about what that would entail, working at the airport, what that would entail in terms of security and your role as a vendor or a concessionaire in the secure areas of the airport. So the first step that we take is badging. We badge everyone who comes into the airport to work, whether you're a contractor or a vendor, or you're operating some sort of kiosk or main space. We will do an investigation, a background investigation, and in that background investigation, it will tell us whether you can be permitted under TSA guidelines into secure areas of the airport. So one of the main things that you will need to incorporate into part of your business practices is the authorized signer component that we in security we partner with you to make sure that you are cognizant of what we would require in security from one main person in your business environment. What I'll do today is I'll provide a brief overview of authorized signer responsibilities, and I'll talk to you about how we partner with authorized signers and how we use authorized signers as a resource for badging and badging related issues to keep the airport safe and secure for all the employees and for the traveling public. Okay, so an authorized signer has responsibilities, and the responsibilities that we're looking for in an authorized signer is, number one, you have to be an active badge holder. Number two, you have to successfully complete the airport's background checks and all security training. We have security training courses, and you'll be required as an authorized signer, or whoever you designate to be your authorized signer for your business. That person will have to take training, and the training is given annually. As your badge expires annually, when you come in to renew your badge, you'll take the training and be recertified for access into the secure areas of the airport. And you have to remain in good standing with that badge. You can't let that badge expire. It's not wise to lose that badge. It's not a good idea to let someone else use that badge. And it's unwise to allow people access into areas who are not credentialed. As an authorized signer, you're credentialed. You have special credentials. You're sort of a trusted person that is allowed into secure area. Everybody's not allowed. So when you go to the airport, you'll see that most people, they traverse through a security checkpoint. So as an authorized signer, as a badge holder, your privileges will be a little different. So we place the utmost trust in you, and we're also requiring that you partner with us to keep the airport secure. So we have a process for badge replacements. There's an application that you'll have to fill out, which you can download from the website, and any of the information is available for you at metroairport.com, but this is the application that we would require you to fill out. There's quite a bit of information that we would gather from you. We'll run a criminal history, and based on that criminal history, that'll determine whether or not you meet the TSA guidelines to be allowed access into the secure areas of the airport. And that also goes for parking. I'll get into that a little later, but even in our parking, you will, be allowed. Parking is restricted at the airport, but as a trusted agent, as a credentialed person, you're allowed access through your badge to areas on airport grounds where you can park. So for badge reinstatements, reissues, and returns, there's a process for that. The process involves you coming into our office, to the credentials office, and we do a check. We look at certain aspects of why your badge needs to be reinstated, why it needs to be reissued, and what you need to do if someone is no longer with your organization, or if your sponsorship is ended, what you need to do with the badge. We also have fees. We have parking fees, we have renewal fees, we have lost badge fees, we have administrative fees. The badge that you have is airport property. So when that badge is lost or damaged, maybe stolen, we need to know right away. And we need to have the badge. We need to know whether we need to replace the badge, whether we need to stop access on the badge, if we need to give you a new badge, if we need to update your credentials, or if we need to terminate access for one of your employees. So it's very important that you contact us immediately if there is a change. And all of this information, there's I don't know if you would read it or not, but there's like a whole blurb here that you can take a look at that gives you a good guideline of the importance of the badge, how serious it is to have the badge, and what it means to be an airport credentialed vendor or contractor with an airport badge. There's also a place on here for your signature as the authorized signer, and as the authorized signer, you're responsible for every badge. You have to do auditing. You have to account for these badges. You have to make sure that individuals are not misusing the badge. You have to take steps if an individual is misusing a badge or has lost a badge. You have to do an accounting of all of that. And you may have employees who come to your establishment working someplace else. And we have a dual badging process. And as an authorized signer, the employee will get one badge. Maybe the badge allows a particular employee into a secured area, and also allows the employee may work for another company with, which allows them to go into secure ID display areas. That's another level of security that we have here at the airport. But all of this we can take care of at the credentials office. And if you go to the website, there's a whole, you would credential down, traverse down to the credentialing badge process, and it will give you all of the items that I've talked about, and a few more to drill down a little deeper into operating at the airport and your requirements as an authorized signer. And I'll also be available to answer questions. My training supervisor, my credentialing training supervisor will be here, and she can go into more detail about some of the fees. We have administrative fees. You know, if you have an airport badge, if we credential you, you're responsible for making sure doors are closed, access points are cut off. If you're going through a door and you don't secure that door, that rings alarms in our Emergency Operations Center, our ECC. And they will dispatch police to that location or security to that location. And there are fees that are associated with security violations. So when I say that people are coming through the airport, they're traveling, they're happy, they've got their luggage. All of these wonderful, beautiful things are happening. They're happy that, they're going to sunny locations or icy locations, wherever they're going. But behind all of that is the work that we do to make sure that they are safe, that they get to their destination, that they traverse through the airport. There are no issues, no problems. We're doing that work behind the scenes. So when you come on board with your business, we're expecting you to become a part of that fabric of safety and security for the airport. And it's not only for you as a business owner, but for our customers who come in and out every day. And I think that's it for me. Unless you want me, I can go on. But if I can go ahead and introduce our next speaker, and that's going to be Richard Freevault. He's going to come on up and take it from here. Thank you all. Appreciate that.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rick Freevault, and I'm Vice President of Bradford Airport Logistics. We are not part of the Wayne County Airport Authority. We are a service contractor to the county, to the Airport Authority. Old habits die hard. We were just having a little chit chat before we got started here, and I'm probably the old man of the group. I've been working at Detroit Metro Airport for about 22 years, ever since the McNamara terminal opened. The first 10 years that I was here, I worked as a food and beverage concessionaire, and then the last 12 years I've been with Bradford Airport Logistics. And we are more commonly known at the airport as the dockmaster. We control the flow of goods in and out of all concession spaces on behalf of the airport for both the Evans and for the McNamara terminal. We work very closely with Lori's department in making sure that our delivery methods are in compliance with airport ordinances and then also with TSA security regulations. And I'm wearing right now my badge that Lori spoke about. And it's with a great deal of pride that we always are able to obtain our badges, and we know the responsibilities that are associated in keeping it up to make the airport safe for the traveling public. So one of the questions as a concessionaire you probably wondered is, so you go through now and you've made the best peanut brittle there is. I was listening. And let's see, and there are other products in here that if I haven't tried them yet, I'm going to find out where your stores are. But you want to figure out how do you get it from street side into us. And that's what we managed to do. Because everything that enters into the airport, be it the sterile area or the secure areas of the airport, has to come through us, and it has to be vetted in accordance with TSA guidance and Wayne County ordinances to make sure that there are no dangers that are present within that material. So once that's done, then we go through that process, and once it's been vetted to be safe, then we will go ahead and take it and deliver it to your locations. Now, that's the easy part. So what we do when we go through this is you have to tell us who all of your authorized vendors are. What we're looking for is their contact name, their physical address, email addresses, phone numbers, any which way we can contact them. And then we will go through our own internal vetting process to make sure that they are a valid business and that they should, in fact, be bringing material to the airport on your behalf. And what we do with them as well is we follow what's called a known shipper standard, meaning that we know the vendor, we know the drivers that come in, and we also schedule dock appointments. So knowing the vendor drivers means that your respective vendors or your carriers need to contact us as well, and then tell us the make and model of the vehicles they're going to be using, the registration numbers, and their drivers who will be authorized to deliver goods on your behalf. What we're also looking for then is the driver's licenses from those individuals. And we go through, and again, we perform a vetting process, and then we'll go ahead and set up a dock schedule. So we may have them show up as early as 3 o'clock in the morning, and we can accept those goods. So once the goods are in our possession, we'll go through, vet them, and then in working with you, we will develop a schedule that we will deliver them to your site. Now, the agreement with this is we will agree to deliver at a certain time. Your obligation is to have staff ready to accept those goods. So for instance, if the peanut butter shows up, or if the peanut brittle shows up at 3 a.m., she may want it at her venue at 7 a.m. We can agree to that. But so we'll have our folks show up with those goods and services, with those goods at 7 a.m. But then you have to have someone ready and able to be able to accept that material. And that actually is what we call a transfer of custody, because up until that point, we are responsible for any of the security related issues and damage for that product. At the point of delivery, when you accept it, that obligation then passes back to you. Okay, so we go through these vettings all the time. The vettings are usually one year in duration. And as you bring on new vendors or delete vendors, what we say is, please talk to us. Let us know. We'll either add new vendors on your behalf or we can take them away. Okay. Our process is extraordinarily transparent. We manage our business with some in-house software that we developed that's called AMIS, which is Airport Material Intelligence System. What we do is we will provide all concessionaires with portals or access into that system. So you'll be able to see when your vendors actually arrive at our dock and how it's being processed through our system, right up to the point who signed for it, which will show you their badge number and will show you the name of who accepted goods on your behalf. So again, we work very closely with Lori's department. Luckily, I have not had to appear before Lori to justify what we have done. And we also follow guidance from Fire Marshal as well. And I'll say, luckily as well, we have not had to come before Dylan and say, no, we did not handle this in an appropriate manner. So again, it is a fantastic partnership that we've developed in terms of making the airport safe for the traveling public. And with that, I will introduce our next speaker. Tom?
Thank you, Richard. My name is Tom Kopflesh. I'm the controller at the Airport Authority. I work with the accountants every day. We talk about debits and credits. We talk about spreadsheets. It's great. Karen is here with me from the controller's office as well. So we're just going to go over a few financial matters in regards to being a concessionaire at the Airport Authority. So first, monthly concessions fees. So that's just airport terminology for rent, right? So the rent at the airport has a couple different components. The first component, as you can see for space 1 and space 2, there's a flat fee that is paid at the beginning of the month. Then at the end of the month, you're going to do a little calculation. So you're going to take your gross sales, you're going to multiply that by 8%, and you're going to compare that to the flat amount that you paid at the beginning of the month. To the extent that the percentage of gross sales exceeds the flat amount, you're going to pay the difference. Okay? So let's do a brief example of that. Say you're operating in space 2. At the beginning of the month, you pay $2,250. You get to the end of the month, you calculate your gross sales, you sold $30,000 in goods. Multiply that $30,000 by 8%, and you'll get $2,400. Subtract the $2,250 from the $2,400, and you're going to pay an extra $150, right? So two components. We call it minimum concession fee. It's really just the rent for the airport authority. If you have questions about that, please enter them in the QR code. Again, we'll be here afterwards if you guys want to talk, if you have further questions about it. But that is the rent for the airport. Next slide. All right, tenant improvement reimbursement fees. So currently, the airport authority is building out the space. The cost of that build out will be reimbursed to the airport by the concessionaires that occupy those spaces. The monthly rate is listed on the slide, and that'll be paid back over 12 months, right? So currently we're building things out. You guys will cover that cost over a 12-month period with those flat fees that are listed for space 1 and space 2. Next slide. Security deposits. So the airport authority does require each concessionaire to pay a security deposit. It can either be in cash or you can get a letter of credit from your financial institution. We will hold that security deposit. If there is an issue with rent, ultimately that security deposit is there to cover the airport authority. However, I will say that we do have a very extensive collections process. We will work with you closely if you do get behind in your rent. And that security deposit is obviously a last resort for the airport authority. We want to return that to you once you're done with your relationship with the airport authority, but it is there as security for the airport. The amounts for space 1 and space 2 are listed there. Again, that can be cash or a letter of credit. Okay, next slide. So as part of the bid process, we'll be required to provide a $500 cashier's check to the airport authority. The airport authority will hold that throughout the bidding process, and ultimately that amount will be returned once the contract is executed. Right? There's a $500 deposit payable with a cashier's check. Next slide. All right, the annual statement. So if you recall, when we talked about rent, we talked a little bit about reporting your gross sales. So each concessionaire that works at the airport authority reports their gross sales independently throughout the year. Then at the end of the year, there's an obligation that a certified public accountant reviews those gross sales and issues a report, which you will provide to the airport authority. We'll compare that to the gross sales that's been reported during the year. If there's any discrepancies, say you over-reported and the airport authority owes you money back, we'll pay that money back to you. If you inadvertently underreported and a little bit is owed to the airport authority, we will ask for that additional money. But typically, it's just a confirmation of the amount that you've reported each month. And again, a certified public accountant must perform audit procedures to verify those amounts. So talk to your CPA, let them know of this obligation. Typically, it's a 90-day period after the end of the year that we ask to get those reports. Again, if you guys have questions on any of these topics, we will be here afterwards to talk about them. If you want to enter a question with the QR code, please do that. Final thing on the financial side here, just a couple notes as far as reporting and payment. So like we talked about with rents, that flat amount is due at the beginning of the month. Then once the month is complete, you'll have approximately 10 days to calculate your gross sales. You'll report those to the airport authority. We do have a web portal that you can report that information through, and we'll calculate that 8%. And if any additional amount is due, that's due within 10 days after the end of the month. You can make those payments via check or electronically with a wire transfer or an EFT. Yeah, that's it for the financial side. Like I said, Karen and I are here afterwards if you guys want to talk. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. With that being said, I'd like to introduce Shannon Osga, Vice President of Compliance, Safety, and Procurement.
Thank you, Tom. So even more exciting than accounting and things, we're going to talk about the insurance that's required to operate at the airport. So bear with me. So each concessionaire at its own expense and in its own name must provide and keep in force during the term of the contract as well as any subcontractors, certain insurance coverages. You will have to, on the general liability insurance as well as the business automobile, you will have to add the Wayne County Airport Authority as well as the County of Wayne as additional insured on your insurance policies. Similar if you have a brick and mortar store, if you have a landlord, you probably have to add that landlord as an additional insured. That's what we require at the airport. So in addition to the commercial general liability insurance and the business automobile liability insurance, you're also required to have workers' compensation insurance. Next slide. So the commercial general liability has to be in the amount of $1 million per occurrence. That will cover your premises, your operations, your completed operations, as well as you indemnifying the airport authority, similar to, again, if you have a landlord brick and mortar store, I'm sure you indemnify the landlord for anything that occurs, any unlikely occurrence in the premises. Same here at the airport authority. So the GL has to be in the amount of $1 million. Next slide. Business automobile. So if you have a business automobile in the name of the business, you'll be required to have insurance limits not less than $1 million per occurrence. Now, if you have employees or if you have your personal automobile, you don't use that in the business. You don't need the $1 million. You have to have your personal automobile insurance. But if you do have a business automobile, you use it in the course of your business, the amount is $1 million. Next slide. Workers' compensation insurance. If you are required under the laws of Michigan to have workers' compensation insurance, it has to be in the amount of $500,000. Now, there's a lot of nuances. If you're a sole proprietor, you don't have any employees, then you don't need workers' compensation insurance. So you would just supply the airport authority with a letter stating that you're not required under Michigan laws to have workers' comp, then you don't need it. But I do know there's a lot of nuances, so the state's website provides a lot of information. I can provide you some information on, if you have 3 employees, you may not need the insurance. But we do require, if it is required under Michigan law, to have $500,000. I believe that's my last slide. So if you have any questions, I can't answer them now, but if you put them in the QR code, or I will be in the back to answer any questions that you might have, and I will turn it over to Susan.
Good morning. It is wonderful to see so many repeat faces from last week events, and that we sparked your interest and curiosity to return back and benefit from the wealth of knowledge we have here from our panel today. This morning, I am going to review the minimum qualifications associated with this RFP. Again, there are 5 of them, and if you satisfy these, you can pass go and collect $200 in monopoly terms. This is the bare minimum qualifications that you must reach. First is the sales threshold. The proposed business must have a minimum of 2 years within the past 5 qualifying years. Past qualifying years refers to the last 5 years. Is everything okay out there? In the ownership or management position. Please note that over the last 5 years, you may recall that we had quite a bit of disruption to business. If you had a 9-line business, you may have flourished during this time, or that could have caused some devastation. So do note that these do not have to be consecutive years. You just have to demonstrate 2 years within the last 5. The next qualification refers to gross sales. The proposed business must have achieved $250,000 minimum, but no more than a maximum of $3 million in gross sales within those 2 of the last 5 qualifying years. This could be from a brick and mortar, pop-up, online, or a wholesale store. Third criteria. Because the SOAR program is designed to welcome new entrants into the concessions program, the proposer may not have been associated with or been a permit holder within those last 5 years in an ownership position in any airport concessions program. The proposer may be part of a newly formed joint venture. Therefore, if you have the best peanut brittle and then you have the best popcorn, you may elect to join forces and go forth on this endeavor as a team. However, keep in mind, you must qualify. To be qualified, you must satisfy, both of you, the minimum qualification criteria. And lastly, the $500 refundable bid guarantee must be submitted with the proposal, as Tom said just moments ago. Next, we're going to review some additional tenant responsibilities or things to consider when operating within the airport environment. As earlier stated, we are in the process of building out the spaces at the airport. And there are going to be some obligations to you to outfit the space, as well as some things to consider that's associated with operating in the airport environment, more specifically the concessions program. You will be required to provide your own point of sale and equipment. As Shannon said moments ago, there is an insurance requirement. You will be required to keep that up during the life of your contract in the airport. Merchandising and fixtures. This space is going to be turned over to you in what we call a white box. It's going to be neutral aesthetic, and you will be able to customize that specific to your business. Please take note of the dimensions of the space when Christine reviews the premises momentarily, but size of the space, how your fixtures are going to work in there, whether or not you need a cash wrap. So all of those things that are going to be provided by you, the vendor. Internet and working phone system. One of the conditions that Dylan touched on earlier, you must have a working phone within your unit, and you will need to provide internet service within your unit as well. There's a pest control program that all concessionaires are required to participate in the Airport Authority. That is something as the administrator and the rest of the concessions team will help you navigate upon award. And then referring back to Lori's portion as it pertains to badging, additionally to the cost, she outlined several responsibilities, namely with the authorized signer. So in addition to making sure that the cost of those badges are covered, there is quite a responsibility in safeguarding them as well. Employee parking permits is also the responsibility of the concessionaire if you elect to provide those for your employees. One of the most frequently asked questions with folks who are interested in doing businesses at the airport is, where do you park? It's actually quite simple. We do provide an employee shuttle that does frequently run, and it is a safe environment where your employee would be able to access with their badge, park their vehicle, and then take the shuttle to the terminal. And lastly, an armored car service. This is not a requirement of doing business in the airport. However, dealing in currency is. So however you elect to get your currency in and out of your location is up to you. However, we will be able to work with you. There are several armored car services that already operate within the airport if you would like to move forward and use that service as well. Thank you.
All right, you guys doing okay? You doing all right? Okay, let's get to this Q&A for our panel here. First up, is it a cap on revenue once you are inside the airport, i.e. $3 million, say a year or so? Is it a cap on revenue once you are inside the airport?
You're asking that in terms of the minimum concession fee calculation? Whoever had that question? There's not a cap on the revenue. So whatever your gross sales are, you'll multiply that by the 8%. And, if you're doing great, making a ton of profits, and the airport authority shares in those profits, then everybody is a winner together.
Was the question related to the mineral qualifications?
I don't-
Was that, if you exceed the 3 million once you're in the airport, does that somehow?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in. Okay, nope, so if you exceed 3 million once you're in the airport, good for you, you're good to remain, right?
Okay, next question. Is there a limit on the available spaces? I think even I might be able to answer that one. 2. But if I'm wrong, our lovely panel, what say you? Just 2.
This cohort doesn't mean there won't be other opportunities, but this go round, it's 2.
There are some questions getting more to the food and beverage aspect that we'll pose to our panel here. And so we will get to that for those who are specifically interested in the food and beverage piece. So, okay, for transfer of custody and dock appointments, can there be multiple scheduled for the day? For example, a morning delivery and a late afternoon delivery.
Yes, there can. Generally, what we do is we'll start deliveries around about 5 o'clock in the morning, and we usually wrap up deliveries around about 1 p.m.
Okay, this is somewhat in lines with the one that was already posed to a certain extent. What type of spaces are available for those interested in self-service kiosk/vending machine opportunities? Are those available, or perhaps will they be down the road?
So the answer is, we do have a vending program for what we call specialty vending. And if you do have interest in becoming a vendor, through a vend, through our, sorry, you want to become a vendor for vending, just. Thank you. So if you are interested in doing just vending services, come on over and reach out to us at this table. We can tell you about how you get on that vendor list.
All right. What are the parking fees? Parking fees. Who can speak to parking fees? Tom K.
Karen, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, $50 per month, parking tax?
Yes.
$50 per month.
And this is one that came up before. When will the restaurant and beverage be doing something similar? When will there be opportunities for food and beverage concessions, programs, and opportunities? Is that something that will be available in the future?
The answer is yes. We are looking right now at the business model, because the business model for food and beverage is different than retail. So right now we're doing our research and trying to create a business model within SOAR that would be for food and beverage. But I would also encourage all of you that are interested in food and beverage, make sure that you're registering with us so we know who you are, because the SOAR program is a specific program, and right now we are doing specialty retail. However, our concessions group, they have a multitude of bids that come out, proposals. A lot of those are food and beverage. We just finished one, and it's cyclical. So it's not just through SOAR, but there are other opportunities as well.
So, this question, to enable budgeting, what are the estimated costs for badging, parking permits, which we just sort of spoke to, but what's the estimated cost for badging, parking permits, internet and phone services, shuttles, and pest control?
Karen? Do you have an estimate for the pest control on a monthly basis? I believe it's $50 or less.
It is, depends on the square footage and how they are doing it. As far as the pest control, that would be dependent on the square footage. I don't have that estimate off the top of my head. I'd be more than happy to get back to anyone with that information. The parking, again, is $50 per badge to be available for the month. And I forgot the other question.
Badging, internet and phone, shuttles, and pest, well, spoke to pest control already. Badging, internet and phone, shuttles.
The badging is $25, and that's when you are initially badged, and then you have to annually, as was previously mentioned, go through, the testing again and get rebadged on an annual basis. For any lost badges, that is $100 fee. That's already known.
And that's graduated. First loss, second loss, third loss.
They won't be doing that, so.
Hopefully. But it happens.
And then regarding the shuttle, that's free.
Sure.
The phone and internet is really gonna be, based on your phone. You're going to set that up yourself. So whether you have an extra cell phone that you keep on hand, or you have to put a line in, however you decide, that is just your general business cost. The airport does not establish that. Internet, we do have a provider, and there is a schedule, but I don't have that. We don't have that at the moment. We can certainly get that information for you.
And I understand we have a question. I forgot your name, but I know he deals a lot with coffee and it's from Highland Park. So, how about it?
Thank you. No, so mine was more about logistics, bringing in materials. So as a wholesaler, as a processor, we have distribution rights for certain things. So pretty much everything that we would be bringing in will be coming from our warehouse. So what would that process be like for, it would be a third-party driver that would be coming in. So if it was our own business vehicle, is that how we would go through the process of getting materials scanned so that they can be stopped? So
Yes, you'd be a concessionaire acting as a vendor. So we would just register your own company vehicle and whoever's going to be driving it to be recognized to come to the dock.
Okay, so I think that's all we have for questions at the moment. And so, Victoria, we'll bring Victoria back up and continue the program. Thank you, guys.
All right. Again, thank you so much. Also, that QR code is always open. So if you think of a question, even if it was from the first set of panelists, go on and put it in there. Again, this is informational. We are trying our best to give you as much information as you can before the actual solicitation starts. Again, I went around, but I want to remind everybody, the survey is important because once you complete the survey, it gives you access to the slide deck. We've created a specific slide deck for you. I saw a lot of screenshots. You don't have to do that. But we are going to get into the second half. And this is a lot of information as well. So everybody kind of shake it off. I know we had a break. And get ready. So I'm first going to introduce Christine Lindenmuth. She's our Director of Concessions, and I know she has a lot to give you of information regarding the space. So come on up. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Christine Lindenmuth, Director of Concessions for the airport. I want to first of all thank you all for coming. I know many of you have been here previously, so I'm really excited to see that there is a continued interest. The department, concessions and quality assurance, will be there to help whoever it is that's coming in. Our role is to be there to help guide you. We understand that this is, not a familiar territory of working in the airport, so we want to make sure that we make it as easy as possible for you to come in and work through things. So while you're getting all of this information here today, we hope you retain some of it, but most likely you're not going to remember all of it. We just want you to know that there is a lot to consider when you do come to the airport. So that's the first thing. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the premises and the standard operating procedures. And so if you have questions, I think are we still using the QR code? Please submit your questions in the QR code and we'll hopefully answer all of those, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so the operational expectations, I'm going to stand over here. Obviously, adequate staffing levels, and that's very important to make sure that you have sufficient staff all day. Whether or not you need more than one person because it's a retail unit, Sometimes we see people able to handle the volume with one, sometimes they need 2, 3, 4. I assume that you'll probably want to stock people. So really you'll be to make that determination of how many people you need to have in your facility. But there must be sufficient coverage during peak times to avoid excessive wait times. The coverage for employee breaks is necessary because you cannot close your unit during the day. The last thing that we ever want to see is a closed gate in the middle of the day. So that's very important that you understand that that coverage is needed. The operating hours for this space we are deeming as 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can be open longer because the people start coming in through security starting at 4:30 a.m., especially for some of those Spirit flights that are really early. So if you want to be open earlier, you certainly can be. But specialty retail is a little bit different than the food and beverage industry, especially in the airport, because you're looking at people who really want to get in, get their coffee, or get a bite to eat, and then they get on the plane. We don't see as much specialty retail first thing in the morning because people are tired and just trying to get to their flight on time. The compliance with safety, with service audits, site reviews, surveys. So what this really is we have staff, as I mentioned, we're going to be there with you to kind of help you set up as you go along. But we also are in there doing quality assurance audits, making sure that your units are clean, they're open, your prices are marked, properly marked. So we're in there, working with the fire department. If your phone's not working, your internet is not working, you want to we'll be working with you on those sort of things. We do have a pricing policy at the airport, which basically states that you cannot be more than 10% over street prices. And we established that price by identifying 3 benchmark locations, and we will use average price for those items, similar items. Product and service quality. We want to make sure you have enough inventory to last throughout the day. So that's why I know a lot of you were asking questions of Rick for getting those through. So you want to make sure you have enough inventory. The products must be fresh, neat, clean, not damaged or defective. Appearance of the concession. So obviously it's visual appeal and attractiveness of the concession premise, display of services being in an attractive manner. Maintenance and cleanliness of premise and related areas, including storage and trash room and timely repairs. So I'm sure you're like, yep, no brainer, this is what we do in our store. Just be mindful that when you can't have your boxes after you've unpacked them sitting outside of the store. So there's a process for that. Everything that we do is just really to try to keep a neat appearance at all times. It's up to you if you want to have specific uniforms. We are not requiring uniforms, but we would like your employees to be professional in a uniform-like outfit. The company's identification, if you, we prefer that is something that they wear. Airport security badges are required. We want them to have a general airport knowledge. So especially if it's somebody who's not familiar with the airport, you want to take them around, or we will help you with taking those, we will take you around. And kind of, where are the bathrooms? Where are the different airline gates at? You're going to be, this location sits across from Jolly Pumpkin, and the Spirit gates are next to that. And so where are the restrooms? Those are the questions that not only are they going to be somebody who's working in the store, but they're a customer service representative for the airport. All right, so this, I'm sure most of you saw this if you were here before, but if you walk in through security, which is right here, you're going to make a left and you're going to go south of the security checkpoint. We have 2 spaces. They're both about 320 square feet. 320 square feet. And they both have a office in the back. So you're going to be situated near, in this area is the Spirit Gates, which is high, lots of volume. And I guess we're going to go ahead and get to some pictures. Does anybody have any thoughts on spaces? Any concerns right here? All right, we're going to go ahead next. Okay, space one is approximately 320 square feet. It has an additional 67 square feet of connected office and storage space. Space two is 9 feet larger and has also connected storage and office space. The tenant is required to operate specialty retail concept only. Specialty retail is defined as a retail store that focuses on a specific product. So it's not general merchandise. It cannot feature electronics, newsstand items, freshly prepared or pre-packaged meals of any kind that require any type of refrigeration or temperature control. And then finally, this may not look like a lot to you, but it is a lot to us. We have been working very diligently about getting these spaces built out. So we have installed the rolling gates. That's what is here. This is the gate that you can't have down during the day. We are putting, myself, they're doing electrical. No, they're putting the electrical wiring in, it's near completion, and the drywall is beginning to be hung. So this is very exciting for us to be able to present this, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, you guys will see the white box. So, all right, I think that was it for me. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Nicole Martin from procurement. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Christine. As Christine noted, I'm Nicole Martin. I am a representative from the procurement department here at the Wayne County Airport Authority. So the first question you may be asking yourself is, what or who is procurement? Well, procurement at the Wayne County Airport Authority is responsible for the lawful acquisition of goods and services for the day-to-day business and airfield operations of Detroit Metro and Willow Run airports. This is in compliance with our Wayne County Airport Authority Procurement and Contracting Ordinance. All right. So I'm going to take you over a little bit about the evaluation. Sorry, this is a little bit about the evaluation and selection criteria for the SOAR program. The SOAR solicitation process is what we call a request for proposals, or an RFP. The RFP means that doing a solicitation via an RFP simply means that the award will be made through a predetermined weight of criteria. To be considered for an award for this program, all complete proposals must be submitted by the bid deadline or proposal deadline, which we will review on the next slide. The proposals will be evaluated by an evaluation committee comprised at minimum of at least 3 separate departments at the Wayne County Airport Authority. Each criteria item is assigned a point value for a total point value per member of 100 points for a total available point award of, depending on the number of evaluation committee members, anywhere between 300 and 500 points. So typically, like I said, we have minimum 3 people that are on an evaluation committee. Sometimes it goes up to 4 or 5. Some of the evaluation criteria which the proposals will be evaluated on may include, but are not limited to, the following items: your proposed concept and operational experience, your business plan, customer service, and quality control. Additionally, please note that the Airport Authority may elect to shortlist the proposals based on the responses to the criteria we just discussed. The Airport Authority will notify each individual proposer on the shortlist if such a presentation is required. These presentations will provide an opportunity for the proposers to respond to questions posed by the evaluation committee. Next slide, please. So, resulting from the evaluation process that we just discussed, the proposer submitted the highest ranking proposal will be offered their choice of the 2 available sites that Christine discussed. If the proposer submitting the second highest ranking proposal does not compete with the first highest ranked proposal, then the second highest ranked proposal will be awarded the second space. 2 concepts within the same category will not be awarded. The category list will be provided in the RFP documents, as well as discussed in further detail at the pre-proposal meeting. So we will be having a pre-proposal meeting for this solicitation, and I'll go through the date and location, but I'll just mention it now. It will be Thursday, the 22nd of this week at 9 a.m. at the Wayne County Airport Authority Michael Berry Administration Building. So that's at Detroit Metro Airport. At that time, we'll go through the required forms of the solicitation, and we'll also do a short site tour so you can see the spots that are available for this solicitation. The projected release date for this solicitation is actually today, this afternoon. So following this workshop, what I'll do is I'll go back to my desk and review all the documents, make sure all of our ducks are in a row, and then we'll be publishing it to Mitten. The solicitation will close on Monday, March 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I do want to stress to you all that that deadline is not negotiable. So Mitten, which is where your proposals will need to be uploaded, will cut you off at exactly 2 p.m. Per our procurement and contracting ordinance, we cannot accept late proposals. Proposals must be submitted through Mitten. We can't accept email or hard copies. Additionally, please note that no new information can be provided after the bid deadline either. So if you've forgotten to upload a document or you wanted to present something different, you want us to look at it. Unfortunately, anything submitted after the bid deadline, or if you request for something to be submitted after the bid deadline, will not be a part of the evaluation process. And this is very important. Please note that during the open solicitation process, any and all questions on this RFP must be submitted to procurement at purchasing.questions@wcaa.us. Contact concerning this solicitation with any other employee, officer, or board member of the Airport Authority is not permitted during the solicitation process. So please keep that in mind. Okay. So once you've successfully uploaded your documents to Mitten by the proposal due date, procurement will then begin the evaluation process. The first part of the evaluation process is to determine whether or not a proposer is what we call responsive and responsible. So you may ask, what is a responsive proposer? A responsive proposer is a proposer or a proposal timely submitted by the proposer in reply to and in conformity with all of the material requirements of the solicitation. So material requirements most often are, we use words typically like must, shall, will. So when you're taking a look at what being responsive means, we are looking to make sure that your proposal form is properly filled out and signed. Your price sheet, which not included in this solicitation, is properly filled out. All the goods and services comply with all the material requirements of the solicitation. And we have all other mandatory submittal requirements. As Tom mentioned earlier, that does include the proposal guarantee of $500. Incomplete proposals or proposals that fail to provide the required information will be deemed non-responsive. So when a proposal is deemed non-responsive, proposals are rejected and will not go through any additional evaluation. So following our review for a responsive proposal, we then move on to what's called a responsible proposal. So what is a responsible proposal or proposer? A responsible proposer is a proposer qualified in all aspects to fully perform the required services and or provide the goods that's required in the solicitation. We also ask, does the proposer meet the minimum qualifications? The minimum qualifications that Susan discussed earlier. If you do not meet all of those minimum qualifications, you will be deemed non-responsible and your proposal will not be evaluated any further. We also make sure that you're not in violation of the WCAA ethics policy. We make sure that you're not debarred. And we make sure that you're not in arrears to the airport authority, meaning that you do not owe the airport authority any money. Again, the same with non-responsive bids. Non-responsible bids will be rejected and not move on in the evaluation process. So some key information you really should take some time in reviewing when you look at the documents that are posted to Mitten. On the cover page of the solicitation document, if there is a pre-proposal meeting, which for this one there will be, that date and location will be included on the cover page of that solicitation, including information about our question deadline. So what we're doing with all of the questions that are being received, we're compiling those questions. We'll take additional questions at the pre-proposal meeting, and then we'll have a question deadline. So all of the questions will be compiled and answers will be submitted on Mitten via an addendum. So any and all questions that you've all asked are then broadcast to the general population. This is to keep the playing field level and fair. Additionally, you want to look at the proposal due date that will be on the cover page of the solicitation document that you download. Again, required documents. Those include your proposal form that needs to be filled out and signed. Your business information questionnaire, which is a 2-page document that just has general information about your business. Again, minimum qualifications. You must meet all of the minimum qualifications in order to move on in the evaluation phase of this solicitation. And proposal guarantee. I want to note that again, the $500 proposal guarantee must accompany your solicitation. Okay. So a few deal breakers. Again, I can't emphasize enough that late submissions cannot be accepted. Again, this is to maintain the integrity of our procurement process. Again, please allow yourself proper time. So if you're looking to upload your proposal at 1 o'clock, that's great. 1:40, it's cutting a little close. 1:58, I would say you need to get on there a little bit earlier. As soon as you're ready to submit your proposal, you absolutely can go on to Mitten at any time and upload that proposal. If you have any technical difficulties with Mitten and or BidNet, we might use those terms interchangeably. Mitten is powered by BidNet. You will need to contact BidNet directly, and that technical assistance information will also be included on the cover page of the solicitation. As I stated before, no new information can be submitted after the deadline. So you may be asking yourself, well, what happens if we have a clarifying question? Any clarification requests that come from procurement regarding your proposal submission must be clarified and or answers with information already contained within the proposal that you submitted. Again, we cannot accept any new information after the bid deadline. That is to maintain the integrity of our procurement process. And again, I have to emphasize this one more time. No contact with any other airport authority employees, officers, or board members regarding the document is permitted throughout the solicitation process. Please only communicate with the procurement contact noted on the cover page of the solicitation document. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about where you can find the solicitation documents. So you hear us talk about Mitten. That's the Michigan Intergovernmental Trade Network. We also use BidNet interchangeably because it is powered by BidNet. There are 2 types of subscriptions available via BidNet. One is a free subscription. One is a paid subscription. When you register on Mitten, you will register on Mitten with your company information, including the commodity codes that are associated with your business. Those are called NIGP codes, the National Institute of Government Purchasing. The Mitten registration will take you through step by step to pick those codes. So with the paid subscription, what you're paying for is to get automatic notifications of solicitations that meet those codes that you enter at registration. So you don't have to enter those codes for the paid subscription, but if you don't, then you'll have to go into Mitten periodically to see when solicitations are updated and or posted that meet the capabilities of your company. We also post our solicitations to metroairport.com via the business tab, business opportunities slash solicitations. This will take you to our open solicitations as well as any solicitations that have been let within the past 6 months. Please note that while you can view the documents here at this site, you cannot upload your proposal submission. Again, uploading your proposal is to Mitten only, and all of that information is contained on the cover page of the solicitation documents. Okay, so a few dates here for you to remember. Today, we will be publishing the solicitation. February 22nd, that's Thursday, 9 a.m., we will have a pre-proposal meeting. Pre-proposal meetings just entail a representative from our business diversity unit, somebody from our controller's office, and typically somebody from our legal department. We're there to go through the forms that are required for submission and just the points that we want you to pay attention to in the solicitation document. A lot of it will be a repeat of what we're discussing here today, but participation, while not mandatory, is definitely encouraged. The question deadline. So we will compile all the questions received here, as well as any questions submitted by the question deadline. Those questions should be directed to purchasing.questions@wcaa.us. And again, that email address will be included on the cover page of the solicitation. The solicitation deadline is March 18th. Then, after we receive all the proposals, we will review them for responsive and responsibleness, and then distribute those responsive and responsible proposals to the evaluation committee for review. The evaluation committee will then meet between the time of March 22nd and April 19th to review all proposals and then vote and rank them accordingly. The week of April 22nd, we anticipate to send out notice of intent to award. Now, the notice of intent to award is just that. It's a notice of intent. We cannot, without the express approval of our CEO and subsequently our board, award a contract. So when we say it's an intent to award, that is dependent on our board approving the concept and the contract award recommendation. May 15th, that will be the board meeting that we take the contract award recommendations for the 2 proposals to our board for approval. And then the week of May 20th, once all of the post-award items are received, such as the insurance Shannon talked about, we confirm that the proposal guarantee, all of that good stuff was accepted. We have it received. The COI is good. Then we go ahead and we will fully distribute and file the fully executed agreement. So again, there is a QR code on your table for a survey. Upon successful completion of that survey will be the information discussed here today. Additionally, I do want to note, if you are planning or think that you would like to attend the pre-proposal meeting at the Wayne County Airport Authority Administration Building, please see the procurement table at the back of the room. We will require you to fill out some paperwork for what's called a destination pass. And that destination pass will allow you to pass through security successfully so we can go and take a brief site tour. And with that, I will turn it back over to Victoria Edwards, our Director of Business Diversity.
All right. So if everybody has a folder, you are going to see 2 documents in your folder. Nicole just gave you a lot of information, but what we wanted to do is she talked about being registered in BidNet, or you hear us say Mitten. We have information and instructions for you. A lot of that is electronic, but if you're like me, sometimes you just want to read it, understand it if you have questions. So we have that in your folder, and it's 2 already colored copies. So understand, the other thing that Nicole was talking about, we hear it all the time. Give yourself enough time to upload all your documents when you are going to submit that proposal, because it's not a, oh, I need one more minute. It'll shut off. That's it. If you have 17 pages and if it's 2:00 at 2:00 and you only have 15 pages, those last two will not go through. So again, it's very strategic that you give yourself enough time so that all of your documents can get uploaded. I've noticed a lot of people, that's a lot. Everybody kind of has a little glazed over look. That was a lot of information. Again, we were going to take another break. I'm going to let everybody vote real quick. Do you need a 10-minute break to answer phone calls, or do you want to go straight into the Q&A? And if so, if you've already submitted some questions, you've got none? Okay. Does anybody have any questions, or do we need a break so everybody can actually submit them? And if not, do we have enough questions? We can just take them from the floor. How many people would like a 10-minute break? Raise your hand. Okay, everybody ready to roll, I take it. I can give you a couple minutes back into your day. Are there any questions for our group up here of the material premises that we just talked about, the procurement process, the bid, making sure that you get yourself registered for the site tour? Any questions from the floor? Okay.
It may be a question for you directly.
Okay, well, we got a mic coming to you.
So given that there are only 2 spaces that are available for this cohort,
Mhm.
if you've applied for this cohort and spaces become available, maybe from existing retailers in the terminal, will the applicants in this cohort be considered for spaces that may become
That's a
available?
short list. That's the short list. Go ahead.
I think what you're asking is if so if the 2 spaces are taken, another space becomes available, will you be able to take that third space? Or if any other retail space becomes available? At this point, I think the answer is no. For this cohort, there's only 2 available spaces. Now, that doesn't mean that if something happens to one of the 2 proposers and something, we will maintain, I believe, a list, and then go down that list to the next highest ranking proposal or proposer, and then approach that person to, I think, take over that space. But then there are only 2 spaces currently for this cohort. And then the rest of we do, like Victoria had said, there is opportunities currently for some food and beverage and retail. Food and beverage is closed. However, from time to time, I would definitely look at on the Mitten site for additional concessions.
So there are food and beverage opportunities that will become available in September at the McNamara terminal, as well as additional retail opportunities. Those contracts are full concession opportunities. It's a little different than this. They are 10-year contracts. However, if you're looking to just be like maybe a supplier to an existing concessionaire, you can reach out to procurement. We are going to provide a resource list that you can also reach out to, whether if it becomes that you apply and you do submit a proposal which you're not successful. That doesn't mean it's the end of the road. There are, like I said, many opportunities. So we can talk more about that if you have any questions.
And again, this is the first cohort. Our intent is to make this a program that is cyclical, and it will not just be a one-time. We have very lofty dreams, and we would like to see it expand. And there will, again, as she said, a short list. So if 1 and 2 are picked and 2 all of a sudden for some reason it can't go through, it might be insurance or whatever the issue, then we have a list where we could pull from that next person. So your efforts are not going to be in vain. Let me also say this. Anytime you fill out a proposal or go through a process like this, even if you don't win that award, it's not in vain, because it gives you an opportunity to learn how to do business with the airport, which also allows you not only to learn the material, get a sneak peek behind the curtain ahead of time, but it also allows us to be familiar with you and ensure as those type of opportunities pop up, we try to be as interactive and engaging as we can and let you know about it. Christine also alluded to, we're looking at a partnership program coming down later down the turnpike for businesses. So this is the tip of the iceberg. Nothing is done in vain, and we're hoping everybody looks at this as a not only an entry point, but an opportunity to learn. So it's a great question. Any other questions? Okay. Well, we thank everyone for coming. So we're going to get a little bit of time back in our day, but it doesn't conclude the whole thing. You will see in the back, we have fire, we have security in the back. I see Nikia's here. You have procurement and insurance over here towards my left. Then on the other side, you have logistics, you have the controller's office, you also have concessions. We're all going to be here for quite a while, so you can have one-on-one time. So I definitely would encourage you. This is the time to do so, because after later today, if you have any questions, this is not available. Everything is going to have to go through the procurement department because the solicitation will be live on the street. So we can't talk in any other form. That's why we are making sure we got you all the information that we could today. So utilize it. Please submit it. Anything else from the floor? And thank you so much for coming. We know it's a lot of an ask for your day and your time, but we are about imparting information and providing opportunity. So thank you so much for sharing yourselves and sharing your day with us. And now what we call the one-on-one, they are open. So please utilize all of our subject matter experts. Thank you.